Story 1. Am I the a-hole for asking my sister what the F she expected to happen at her crap show of a bachelorette party? For some reason, my 32 female sister, 23, and her fiance, 25, decided that the very best way to celebrate before getting married was to have a joint bachelor/bachelorette party at strip clubs. They also hired a bus limo for the evening. The aftermath was, thus far, 3 breakups, 4 people dropping out of the wedding party, 1 impending divorce, and 1 arrest. The cleaning bill for the limo was more than the original rental fee also. She was crying to our mom at dinner the other day, and I snorted. I tried not to, I honestly did. I was trying my best to just keep my mouth shut. She asked me what was so funny. I said that I wasn't sure what she expected to happen getting a group of people drunk using illicit substances and getting horned up and watching exotic dancers. She said that I was an a-hole for judging her and her friends. I said I wasn't judging, just that literally anyone could have seen that outcome. My mom told me to apologize because my sister is having to replace most of her wedding party on the fly. I did. I still think I'm right. Am I the a-hole? Look. I'm a real open-minded person about a lot of stuff, you know. I'm a pansexual. I'm very open with a lot of that kind of stuff. I've done erotica and things like that. I am totally down with polyamory or people who are into open relationships and all that kind of stuff. There's so much of that stuff that is fine if you know somebody and you have a lot of good open communication, but to have a joint wedding party at strip clubs with illicit substances with people in their younger 20s who maybe haven't fully figured all that stuff out and had a chance to become comfortable with all of those things. It's not a diss on anyone in their 20s. It really isn't. It's just you probably haven't had that life experience and relationship experience to go through with that kind of stuff. But to combine all of those things is so volatile, and I think anyone could see it coming. And are you an a-hole for pointing out the obvious? I mean, sometimes knowing when to keep your mouth shut is the nicer thing, and your sister was already going through a lot. So I would say, yeah, maybe a little, but I mean, how could you not be in that instant? Story 2. Am I the a-hole for not letting my roommate's boyfriend in the room? My roommate and I live in a typical student dorm at our university. We didn't know each other going into the year, but we've definitely formed a friendship. We're not like best friends or anything, but we get along well. We never really officially discussed boundaries or anything like that. We just treat each other with respect and use common sense, and that's worked out for us at the time we've been living together. Every now and then she'll tell me about her boyfriend, but she's never shown me any pictures or anything. All I know is he goes to another school a few states and they've been together since high school. One day she tells me she's going to visit because she has a fall break. I didn't ask any kind of details when she said this and just said okay. Yesterday I got a text from her saying that her boyfriend was on his way and asked if I could let him in the room if he shows up before she's back. However, I didn't see this text until I got a knock on the door. I look through the peephole and ask who it is, and he announces himself as my roommate's boyfriend. Now, I had never seen this guy before in my life, so I didn't let him. I asked him if he could just wait until she was back from class. He just said, "Sorry to bother you," and walked away. About 30 minutes later, my roommate comes back with the guy from before. She starts asking me why I didn't let him in. I told her that I had no idea what her boyfriend looked like and wasn't comfortable with some random guy coming into the room while I was alone. She told me that I was overreacting and needed to grow up. They leave and don't come back until much later. I'm just about to go to sleep and ask how much longer he'll be staying, and he says probably just the next 2 nights. I ask him where he's staying, and he gets this confused look on his face. Then he says he's staying in our room. I told both of them I never agreed to anything like that and that he would need to leave. My roommate then proceeded to call me a B. I stood firm, and finally, they both left. My roommate sent me a message saying that they ended up sleeping in his car and were trying to guilt trip me. Am I the a-hole? Nope. I know college stuff is tricky, and a lot of times people end up having to share bedrooms, especially in dorms and stuff like that. And yeah, it's, not an unheard of scenario that in college it's like, oh, I'm there and my roommate's got their significant other over and they're even going at it while I'm trying to sleep. But I know that's typical. It's not unusual. But maybe it should be. Like, if you have to live with someone, a roommate, a significant other, stuff like that, you have to have understandings with one another and be comfortable with one another. And especially in college, when you're sharing a bedroom space where you're sleeping, to have a stranger there overnight, it's like, no, that needs to be okay with everyone. You don't just drop that on somebody. You have to discuss beforehand, like, hey, my boyfriend's going to be around. Is it okay if he stays in the room with us? Are you comfortable with that? Like, you don't know what the person who posted this has been through. Maybe they have some trauma in the past. And even if they don't, they have a right to want to be, feel secure and safe with people that they know in their bedroom. So yeah, I don't think that this person is the a-hole in this case. As typical as these scenarios are in college, I'm sorry, but you gotta respect your roommates. Story 3. Today, I effed up by sending nudes to my employee group chat. Well, I recently started a new job about 5 to 6 months ago doing some tech work, trying not to be too specific. With that being said, I'm pretty young, 24, definitely the youngest that works there so far. I mostly work with other men, 30 to 40. We have a group me for the store I work at, which includes the owner, the manager, and 5 to 6 other employees. The previous night, I had been feeling a little frisky and desired to take some pictures/videos for the guy that I was with at the time. No biggie, right? The next morning, I had work, go in as normal, pretty busy day actually. Noon rolls around and I needed to post a picture to the group me about an issue I was having with a computer I was working on. I typed what I needed to say, I clicked the camera roll icon, and just as I clicked the picture, a customer came up and started asking me a question. I hit send without thinking and go on about my day. I should also probably say that by this time I was working alone and closing so no one else was around. The customer who came in kept me pretty busy for 30 to 45 minutes. When they finally left, I went to check my phone and saw I had a bunch of missed calls from my boss. At first, I thought he was just calling me about the question I had while the group phone was ringing. I went back to look at the group me. To my horror, I clicked not just a picture from the night before, but the whole damn video. My heart dropped instantly when I realized what happened. My boss picked up the phone. He began questioning me about what my intentions were with the video, and that he's never had anyone do such a disrespectful act in the company before. I tried to explain, but needless to say, that was my last day working there. LOL, on the bright side, the coworker I had a crush on finally got his attention. Oh, I feel so bad for this person, and my advice here is, always useful in hindsight, but can't help this person. But folks, if you are going to take promiscuous photos of yourself at a legal age, please, and you're sending them to someone else for whatever reason, that's your business. Just delete them off your phone immediately, though. Like, delete them as soon as you possibly can, because it is so easy on these dumb little touch screens to accidentally, tap the wrong little thing and accidentally send a picture of your butthole to your parents or something. I don't know what you're doing, but those accidents are always going to happen. So just try and make sure they can't happen, if at all possible, for your own sake. And when it does happen, I would hope that the boss could, forgive something like this and be understanding about how easy that crap is on a phone. But if you're sending a video that I imagine contains some stuff to work and it's just sitting there for half an hour or whatever, while you're doing stuff, why you click and send on things without looking because a customer talked? Don't. Oh gosh. Oh, I feel so bad for this person. Folks, just be so paranoid about that stuff. The moment that stuff is on your phone, it is just a click away from being out in the wild. Story 4. I planted my stuffed cheese bread with meat so my vegetarian roommates stop eating my food. As the title says, my roommates are vegetarian and they still always eat my food. Our lease is almost up and I'm moving out in a couple weeks anyway. A couple weeks ago, I got some cheese bread from a pizza place and only had a few pieces. I left the rest in the fridge so I could have it when I got home from work the next day. The next day I get home, grab the box of cheese bread and open it. They left me one piece. Mind you, I ate only a few pieces the previous day, so I had about more than half remaining. I asked if they ate it and they admitted to it because they were drunk. They always just eat my food if it can fit their vegetarian diet, and they never ask me. Just a few months ago, I bought 10 boxes of mac and cheese because they were on sale 10 for $10. They ate 8 boxes and I only had 2. That was supposed to be a last resort option for me when I didn't have enough money or didn't feel like making food, and they never once offered me any of my food when they made it. So today, I just went and got some pizza, bread, and wings. I already know they're gonna eat the pizza and just take the meat off. However, I ended up getting stuffed cheese bread and I asked if they could put pepperoni inside of it. The restaurant agreed. So now I'm just waiting until my roommates get home, eat my crap without telling me, just so I can enjoy the satisfaction of telling them that they ate meat. Don't eat my food if you're not gonna ask. F around equals find out. Yeah, I just cannot stand roommates who will eat food without asking. Just ask. Or like, if you all have an understanding that you're like sharing food and sharing on grocery bills and stuff like that, that's one thing. Clearly that is not what has been happening here. And for them to just be taking food without ever asking or even offering you someone they're like making your mac and cheese, that's crappy. And normally I also am never a fan of like tricking vegetarians or vegans into eating stuff that isn't part of their diet. Like I'm very, very opposed to that because that is something that's really morally important to those people. And so I'm not going to try and trick them into eating meat. However, if they're just taking your food without asking and you're putting some meat in there, A, they should be checking what they're eating if they're taking other people's food who they're not vegetarians. And B, if they're biting into that stuff and not realizing they're eating pepperoni. I'm sorry. I've had vegetarian meat products and they can be very good, but they're not that convincing. Pepperoni is, so yeah, no, I say you're just fine, you know. I doubt that they would eat it without realizing, but you know, if they do, that is 100% on them at this point. They are stealing your food, so they'll get what they get. Story 5. Please help. My roommate doesn't use toilet paper. First, we have 2 full separate bathrooms. Mine is in my room and my roommates are in the hallway. It also has the laundry machines. Neither bathroom or toilet has a bidet. Separate showers. My partner and I took on a roommate several months ago to help with bills, and I don't think I can live with him anymore. I've always bought and stocked all the toilet paper in the house, and I started noticing that he just doesn't use it. When I go to restock his, the same amount of rolls are always there. Then I checked the roll by the toilet and realized I'm the only one who has used it. Barely any was missing from the roll, and it's only been replaced once since he moved in. I do most of the house cleaning, so I pay attention to things that aren't clean, and I noticed stains that appeared on only his doors. Yellowish brown to black spots surrounding the handle and the bottom half of only his bedroom door and bathroom door. Nowhere else in the apartment really has these marks besides a few spots on the hall closet doors. So after I realized the toilet paper mystery, I felt extremely disgusted living with him. Not to mention he wears his shoes in the house I clean twice a week, and his bedroom and bathroom stink. Worse, he leaves the washing machine open and the bathroom odors get trapped in the machine filter. My clothes come out smelling like crap. This is truly my nightmare scenario. I recently had finally received an opportunity to move out of an abusive home which was filthy. It made everyone sick and smelled like a dumpster. I don't know if I can take this anymore. The smell of his room is so potent it clouds the hallway. I've tried talking to him about this stuff, but it's like he doesn't believe me. Maybe he's just stubborn, but he will literally argue with me over it. He wore his shoes in front of the rain over the floors I had just mopped, and he said his shoes weren't dirty because it's raining. I don't know what to do. My partner hates conflict, and they were friends for a long time. He also moved several states to live with us and doesn't know anyone here, so we both feel awful about potentially finding a new roommate. Not to mention trying to find one who's respectful. Is there a reasonable explanation for this? Could he only poop at work even if he has 2 days off? Then how would the odors get in the bathroom in the first place? I really need advice, and maybe a neuralizer. Edit. Thank you to everyone who has given genuine advice. I'm aware that we are doormats. That's just what happens when you are abused by self-centered people for 20 plus years. You receive brain damage, and symptoms of CPTSD and autism are so similar it's crazy. You're always in sensory overload and you become hypervigilant to other people's emotions. You forget that the world can be kind and understanding. You come across as a naive people pleaser because it's the only way you've survived this far. I really appreciate everyone's advice, even if you were harsh. It gives me more confidence to stand up for myself. Hopefully I will update after the situation is resolved. I can't sleep at all thinking about all this. My partner is suffering nightmares of roommate's reaction. Healing is a rather difficult process, but I am determined. I was really hoping when I read the title to this one that it's like, it's got to be just a bidet situation, right? It just has to be they have a bidet, but he's not using any toilet paper to dry off. And that could make sense. I have a bidet. Both the toilets in my house, we have bidets on them. They're wonderful, folks. Get a bidet. You can save so much on toilet paper. You can even just get claws just to pat yourself dry. Get you so clean. So clean. It's lovely. I can't with this. It's too much. It's so, yeah, I don't know that I could handle this either without, like, maybe yelling at this person. Like, I am sorry, when you're taking them in as a roommate for some extra money, there have to be, like, rules, and I'm glad that this person is determined to kind of put their foot down and solve things, because sometimes that's what you need to do. There are some folks, they just got a different way of living, and I never thought that not using toilet paper or any method of cleaning was one of those things, but yeah, no, you have to confront this, as uncomfortable as it will be, and as much as this person might argue and deny, you have to be like, no, you're staying with us as our roommate, and if you want to keep doing that, this has to change. This is and I'm sure this person has their own stuff that they may be dealing with. Maybe there's trauma in their past that has caused some of this, and so you might have to be firm but gentle. I don't know exactly, but yeah, this is so unacceptable that I gotta go. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.